There we go.
Oh, now we're live.
There we go. Okay, we're live. Welcome, everyone. We'll start with some introductions just to make sure everyone's acquainted. Lauren probably needs no introduction, but we'll give her a little bit of time as well. Um, Kassy, did you want to say a little bit about yourself and mention your channel, and we'll go to the next person.
I'm Kassy. I run the channel Anti-Feminism, and yeah, I've been doing this since the beginning of this year. I don't know.
Yep. And you just gained popularity like pretty much too sweet. I remember when you were just a baby and only had like 20 subscribers when I first subscribed to you, and then all of a sudden, like the next day, you had 100, and then the next day after that, you had almost 1,000, and then like at the end of like last month, you had like 4K. So it was like you grew exponentially. So
Yeah, it did go pretty fast. I was pretty surprised, actually.
yeah, but okay. And then Katie, say a little bit about yourself and your YouTube channel, if you want to market that or anything like that.
Well, I'm not very active on my YouTube channel yet. Eventually, I want to make some more videos about cartoons and stuff. I'm SomeCartoonChick. Not very big, pretty small. Other than that, like I've got a DeviantArt and stuff like that, but that's pretty much it.
Okay. And then Lauren, the popular one of the group right now. Tell a little bit about yourself.
But I really just sit at home and read nerdy books and sometimes do videos on my spare time. I do videos for the Rebel Media every once in a while, and my own channel, if you just look up Lauren Southern, I think I've got like 5 or 6 videos on there. I haven't uploaded in a few weeks, but yeah, I do videos about feminism and social justice and just culture in general. And my first YouTube video on my channel was with the new kid.
Yeah, that was pretty surprising when I got that message. I was like, wow, I'm flattered. Yep. And she's also very active politically. She just got reinstated as in the libertarian movement, so that's a feat in itself.
Yes.
So that was pretty awesome. You might not get, if I was Canadian, I'd vote for you, but
I appreciate it. No, the Libertarians are not one of the main parties right now, unfortunately. We basically have a 2-party system like the States.
Yeah, there's a Libertarian Party as well here in the States, but it doesn't really take off, and so. But most Libertarians run as Republicans anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's how they can hope to get elected at all if they run that.
But, it's a political statement to run, regardless.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so let's see here. Okay. All right. So what brings you fine ladies here is we're kind of discussing affirmative consent, and since you guys are the ladies that are, you have all the quote-unquote power when it comes to sexual activity, especially when it comes to the feminist movement, because you're the one who we have to always ask permission with. We will, they've come up with these ideas of yes means yes laws and affirmative consent and ask every step of the way type thing. So we're just going to try and, find out what you think about a lot of those steps that feminists are trying to perpetuate and stuff like that. So the first video we're going to kind of share here is from CUTV, the Affirmative Consent Feminism for Bros video. I'm sure a lot of people have already seen it and are familiar with it. I actually cut it way down since I didn't want to bombard people with the annoyance of how long it is. I cut it down to about 20-30 seconds or something like that, so we don't have to see the whole thing. And then I'll go ahead and ask a few questions there about that. There, let's see if I can get my present to everyone going and share screen. There we go. Let's try and hopefully, and if worse comes worse, I can re-edit the video so the video is more crisp after the broadcast.
Okay. Can I put my hand here?
Yes. You like that?
Mm-hmm. Want to help me take off my shirt? Can I take your shirt off?
No, not yet. Can I kiss your hair?
Yes, please. Can I kiss your neck?
Okay, so basically, so we have that video where feminism is pretty much perpetuated that, you know, we must ask every step of the way, can I touch your leg, can I kiss your neck, things like that. Now, Kassy, you as a woman, I'm going to ask you this: if a guy started doing that with you and started asking every little, can I nibble your ear, can I nibble your neck, and pretty much touch you on your arm, and, you know, just every little step, what would you do? Like, knowing your personality, what would you say about that?
Probably kick him out because I'm impatient. I'll just get the job done myself. I can't wait for that shit.
So you'd just be the rapist because he wouldn't have signed the consent forms?
Yes, I'm a rapist.
Like, oh,
I'm
man.
a rapist, Kassy, 2015.
There you go. So basically, you would just like, no, sorry, that
You
shit
killed it.
You're
No.
not. Yep, you killed it. Okay. It's like, what about you, Katie? What would you do in that situation if somebody kept asking everything? Would you probably do the same thing, kick them out, or would you say, you know what, just don't talk? And
Yeah, basically I just told him to shut the fuck up and do the job.
it's like, okay. Yeah, and Lauren, what would you do?
Well, if I were in New York or California, I really wouldn't blame the guy based on their new laws. But yeah, no, not interested in that kind of. I don't think I'd ever date a guy that was that feminist.
Yeah, I agree. Like, on the flip of dating women and stuff like that, if I just wouldn't deal with it. It's like, oh, so what are your views in this area or stuff like that? Oh, you want me to ask permission every step of the way? I think we should see other people, you know, or something.
Yeah, exactly.
And if that's what you're into, okay, fine. Like-minded people should date like-minded people. Not saying that this is bad. I'm just saying it's not for me, and it shouldn't be legislated in law. If this is something you want to push, have it in your own personal life, but don't put it into law. I mean, that's getting a little ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, if a guy was doing something that I wasn't comfortable with, I'd say, hey, don't do that. And then if he didn't listen, that's when I would have a problem.
That's the original no means no law, which made sense. And now they've changed it to yes means yes, which complicates things into this Feminism for Bros video that isn't for everyone, as we've just seen.
Right, exactly. And it's if you're into that, like, and we've seen people that are quote unquote into that, Lacey Green, Bree Esrig, people like that.
And it's fine, yeah.
If that's what you're into, but to legislate it is just something that I wouldn't be really into myself. But
I get the motive. I get what their idea was, but come on. Like, you watching this video, the fact that people thought it was satire, if you look at the comment section, the dislike bar, they're literally legislating something people thought was satire.
Right. Yeah, a lot of people thought this was a joke, and they're going, oh, this is totally satire, and they're just making fun of feminism for trying to do this. No, it's legit, because if you look at all the rest of their videos, perpetuating. Like, it's not like they have a lot of joke type stuff on their site. It's all feminist.
Oh no, it was a serious video.
Yeah, it's all the feminism for bros. It's teaching men about feminism.
So appealing.
So, yeah.
You asked that question. Could not
Yeah,
imagine.
so but for those of you listening, that video, what they did in that video was actually legislated into law. I believe it was July 7th in New York for every single university. In California last year, they legislated it for privately funded universities. So if you wanted funding from the state, you had to have the yes means yes affirmative consent law. But in New York, Andrew Cuomo, the governor, just said every university has to have this yes means yes law, and the universities are now pairing up with this yes means yes advocacy group that is literally giving out consent forms, condoms, and pens so that students can sign the consent forms, and then they suggest you take a picture of you and your partner with the consent form to make sure, that it wasn't done later or whatever earlier.
Yeah, that's really, legislating into law, like Cuomo doing that, is just, I mean,
Well, you know why
you
he
want,
did it. He
oh,
posted on his
liberals.
Twitter. He posted on his Twitter that 1 in 4 women will be attacked sexually on campuses in their lives.
Oh,
So he genuinely buys into the 1 in 4 women statistic.
and
He's like, it's supposed to be 1 in 5. He's like 1 in 4. Screw it.
well, yeah, well, it depends on the statistics. It's as high as 1 in 3 and as low as 1 in 6, depending on.
Yeah, because I'm really going to
depending
go
on
to
the
university if
stats.
there's like a 50% chance I'm going to be raped.
It's just it's really ridiculous on how these people think that this law would actually stop that from happening. If that stat was true, why would that be even? I don't even know. It's
With this law, it basically creates more chances of people being raped, because if you read the law, it also means that yes means no. Like, if a girl is extremely insecure with herself and had like a really shitty upbringing or something, and she's developed mental issues because of it, she can say yes and basically ride your dick until the morning, and technically it's still rape, according to that law, actually.
yeah, because it shifts the burden of proof, saying, okay, can you prove that I said yes? Oh, I can't prove that you said yes. Well, then we're going to assume.
It says that even if she said yes, because has mental issues, it doesn't count. Even if the guy doesn't
mental. Oh, yeah.
And you're gonna need to bring a breathalyzer with you. And they left. They left how drunk or drugged up you have to be anonymous. Or it's ambiguous. So I don't know how they're gonna bring that into their kangaroo courts and actually set it in as law, because it's an ambiguous number. I'd have to go and check. I think it's just drunk enough to not be able to consent. But what does that mean? 1 beer, 2 beers, 3 beers? That's the whole problem with this law.
Yeah, if you're drunk enough that you can't drive or something, is what a lot of people said. If you can't drive, then you can't consent, is what a lot of people are saying.
Yeah, okay.
But are you going to bring a breathalyzer to make sure they have that .08 level?
Sex, yeah.
Like, are you going to really do that? Like, I can just imagine.
Sex toy of the century.
There we go, breathalyzer. It's like, hold on, before we do this, can you breathe into this for me really good?
You're making out and you bring out a consent form and a breathalyzer. Hey, babe. I know we're getting into this.
Yeah, that consent form. That's got me going.
Consent form.
I can't imagine.
And then because you have to have consent, it literally says, I read both laws through and through, and it literally says you have to get consent throughout the process of the sexual act. So are you going to have to whip out a new consent form for every thrust you do?
Oh my god.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Can I go in? Can I go out? Can I go in? Can I go out?
Are you sure? Are you sure?
Yeah. So I actually have another segment we'll bring into there, but it's basically Lacey Green, and what we've already kind of discussed, but what we're discussing kind of falls into exactly this, and how Lacey she talks about how she gets really excited when she gets asked to be kissed, so. But I'm going to skip to the part where she talks about asking for consent, and see if you guys kind of agree disagree, things like that. Because you know, there's some valid questions in there, but I don't think it has to do with consent. It's more of foreplay. But we'll let you guys be the judge on that. Let's see here. I love it when I get better at this. I'll be able to do this a lot faster. Okay.
Are you enjoying yourself? How's that feel? You like that? Do you want me to keep going? How far do you want to go? You look uncomfortable. Are you okay?
Okay. So basically, she spat off a lot. Was, are you okay? You look uncomfortable. Do you like that? Things like that. 50% of those seemed okay, but more foreplay than actual consent. Like, do you like that? Well, you know, some people are just, you know, looking to get a little feedback from their partner versus, you know, are you sure you want me to do this? Are you sure you want me to touch you? Things like that. If I didn't want you to touch me, I'd be a big girl and tell you right away.
Sounds like a bit of a deeper problem here. It sounds like either a relationship communication problem is going on if you need to do that, or your partner has serious confidence issues. Because if you don't like something and you're just sitting there not saying anything, there you go. You got a confidence issue or a communication issue in your relationship.
Right.
So this sounds like more than a consent issue.
Yeah, definitely. So it's probably you're right. I think it'd probably be less of consent and more of confidence instead of trying to find out is this okay? Why aren't you just confident? Like some of like getting married, having a boyfriend, things like that. Could you imagine doing this with your significant other? Like really, like you're married and you don't know me well enough already that what I kind of like and what I don't like. It's kind of ridiculous, really. It's like, so, but what do you think about that, Kassy?
I think I think they should stay the fuck out of my bedroom. Like seriously, they basically tell people how to have sex. It's fucking weird and creepy.
That's the libertarian standpoint. Is like, let me do what I want to do, and it's none of your business what I do, as long as it's with consensual, you know, and of age of, you know, maturity.
Age of consent and everything.
Yeah, age of consent. Yeah, as long as that bullet point is met, what I do inside my bedroom is none of it the state's business. You know.
No.
You know, and that's part of the reason why the gay marriage kind of was legalized, because, you know, as long as everyone's consenting, why does the government care who you're sleeping with, you know, type thing. But what about you, Katie? What do you think about that?
Yeah, pretty much the same. I mean, this is getting a little, I hope it's not too TMI, but with me and my partner, you know, we have a lot of our little role-playing things that may or may not require safety words, and as such, that is a huge turnoff for me. Be like, do you like this? Do you like that? Don't
Yeah.
tell me how I can enjoy myself.
Well, that I have an interesting clip that I'll be bringing into this conversation a little bit later. But yeah, there's a couple young ladies that I found on the internet that on SourceFed, believe it or not, one of the more liberal feministy type sites, where the woman was saying, hey, you know what, don't ask if it's okay to spank me, just don't do it, like you know. But it's like, if we're that intimate and we know what each other likes and stuff like that, and you're asking if it's okay to spank me, that's you know, you've already missed the boat. You know. But yeah, the next one is the app. You know, the consent forms are actually very real, that they're starting to come out with. I have, and I know Katie's already seen this before. I grabbed that little clip from that SourceFed video where she was talking about the consent app, stuff like that. So
Yeah, that's how we met.
kind of, yeah, that's how we met. You know. Yep. So I'm gonna go ahead and start that one up and see what. Okay.
app is about to hit the market in the next few weeks, one that's specifically designed to encourage discussion about affirmative consent between intended sexual partners, and will ultimately reduce false allegations of rape, making sex safer for everyone. Yes, queen. Though the price of the app has not been announced, the app is called We Consent, and it takes less than 20 seconds to use. The app asks the first user for his or her name, and then the name of the intended partner, then instructs the user to find the partner and point the back camera of the phone towards that partner's face. The partner is asked to state his or her name and is then informed that the original user desires sexual relations. The videos and asks as well, We Consent creates a 7-year encrypted record that is only available to force evidence in a college or university sexual assault disciplinary proceeding. Not even the user is allowed to access the video, or someone will try. Now, the biggest argument against this app seems to be that the actual act of giving consent is just a huge boner killer. But if you ask me,
I think she kind of strawmanned a little bit at the end, where I think
she nailed it at the end. It is a boner killer.
well, no, it's a boner killer. What I think what she strawmanned is the act of giving consent is the boner killer, when consent doesn't necessarily have to be that app and saying, will you do this, will you do that, and getting permission with the verbal yes. Does that make sense? Like two adults kissing on the couch and she's ripping her clothes off. I think
that would be consent.
Yeah. No, exactly. Real consent is sexy. Actual consent is. Like, well, by that I mean, like, if they are reciprocating the actions, if they are involved as well, and whether it has been verbalized or not. But the other person, if they're sitting there and not wanting you to be with them, to kiss them, anything, that's not attractive. That's a turnoff.
Right, and we already discussed this a little bit before, but could you imagine being with someone breaking out their smartphone and say, do you mind saying, hello, my name is so-and-so, we are consenting to have sexual relations for 20 seconds on an app? You know, like what sort of trust issues do you have to break out that app, you know, to prevent yourself from, you know, being called out as a, you know, you're a potential liar is basically what it's saying.
Well, no, maybe you're dating a feminist. Like, I'd have that if I were dating a feminist.
Hold on, let me break out my app. I need to make sure that you're not going to lie.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, and so that a court can bring out the potential of, oh, well, I didn't really believe that this app, so that I could have proof later when she does lie. You know, if we want to go by that logic, why don't we just teach women not to lie about rape? I mean, duh. You know, I mean, and of course that's ridiculous. Anyone who takes that, he thinks women lie about rape all the time. It's like, no.
Well, it's the exact same as teaching men not to rape. It's just bad people.
Yeah.
You can't do much about them.
It's the opposite, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, what do you think? What do you think, Kassy?
Yeah, no, I could not take someone seriously if they started whipping out apps and asking for, like, that's just really uncomfortable. That would definitely kill everything.
Yeah. So you're more of a person that would rather just, you know, let the mood set where we're going, and you're an adult enough woman to say, you know what, no more, or keep going, or, you know, is that basically what you're saying? Yeah.
Pretty much. Like, if you can't do it, then you probably don't have the mentality to even be consenting to sex in the first place. If you can't just say no when you are uncomfortable with something, you really should not be, like, you're basically a menace to society if you're going to go and say, okay, well, this person raped me because I never said no and I still went along with it and shit. Like, you're fucked.
That's actually an interesting take on it. I like that.
Yeah, I don't understand that mentality where why would you want to be treated like a child and saying, you know, I don't want to have to be held liable for this sex act, so I'm not going to say anything, but I want to have feminism or a movement to say, well, this movement is saying no for me. Like,
yeah, basically.
You know what? There are cases, though, where women are put in situations where they are quiet because they're afraid of the guy or whatever. But I would say those are the minority of situations.
right, but that's still rape.
Yeah,
That's something
absolutely.
that's
That's still
illegal.
rape.
That's already,
But that's why that makes this difficult,
It's a
right?
really gray area because I know, like, when I was younger, I went to a party and I hung out with some pretty badass people. One of the guys at the party had a bunch of guns under his bed, and I was really scared. So I just kind of started to go along with it. And I ended up puking all over the guy, which is great for me.
See, there you go. That's a rape deterrent.
But,
you know, that
I-
would work for me.
I
That would
don't-
work for me.
Pardon?
Saying work for me. If someone wanted me to back away from them, just vomit on me, and you know, I wish I could say that.
That's the loudest way to say no. Like,
It's like, would you like you and me? Bleh. You're like, what?
If I had gone with it, like, you know, if I'd just gone along with it, if I'd never puked on him or anything, I really don't think that would be something that I could even really say no to or call rape because I never even tried to say no.
That's, self-awareness is good.
That's interesting because from a guy's perspective, you know, with a lot of these consent rules, not even laws, but these consent rules that feminism has perpetuated, I would call because I have been coerced into sexual situations. You know, she was very aggressive. You know, but of course I'm an adult and I went along with it. But looking back on it, I wasn't really enthusiastic. I was just more of a pleaser, and I was like, you know, if she wants to it, I'm not going to say no. If I had a choice in the matter and she asked, I would have probably said no. But
off like a band-aid.
I went along with it, so I'm an adult and I owned my decision. Does that make sense, what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe it was a little uncomfortable. Maybe I should have been a more manly man and said, you know, let's cool a little bit and stuff like that. But, you know, it didn't hurt me, and it was all right, you know.
Yeah.
So, but that by no means is that a rule for everyone else to follow. Like,
Hello? Did people disappear?
oh,
There we go.
if you really want to go on, definitely say no. I mean, that's why we're adults, and that's why we aren't children. We, you know, have sex. It's either rape or it's consent. You know, it's
Or don't have sex. Don't.
Yeah.
If you can't handle it, don't. Like.
I mean, there's really not much else to say about that. But yeah. What do you think, Katie?
Well, you'll remember that when I first saw the video, I wouldn't say that I was necessarily on the fence. I guess you could say I was leaning against the fence, only slightly. Not because I think that it's a good idea, just that I do worry about these countless of men who are getting charged for these false rape accusations. But when I thought about it for like half a second, I realized how stupid of me it was to think that it could even possibly remotely be a good idea to have.
Yeah.
You're basically like with the woman. It's one of the main problems I have with this in general. In the court system, it's like the woman doesn't have to prove that she was raped. The man has to prove that he wasn't, and that's not how court is supposed to work. If you're the defense, you don't have to defend yourself. The plaintiff has to prove what they're saying is true.
Well, luckily this technically isn't going to court. These are going to be campus protocols. So they're going to have kangaroo courts on campus that can get you kicked out of your college or university. That will also give you sex offender status if a job calls your university to ask for transcripts or anything. So it still is devastating to your life. But
Right, but the difference is it's still a preponderance of evidence, and it shifts the burden of proof. Yeah. So instead of proving that you instead of proving it's true that he raped me, shift the burden of proof and say, yeah, no, I got a yes, which basically makes the innocent now has to prove that he's innocent rather than the other party proving that he's guilty. Does that make sense? And a lot of these kangaroo courts have reduced the I can't even talk anymore. Reduced the actual beyond a shadow of a doubt to a preponderance of evidence, saying I'm convinced that he probably did it, but the same as other like minor misdemeanors. So it's kind of it's not a good thing, and feminists saying that it is a good thing. I have an article here that it talks about basically what we were just discussing is feminists really seem to hate due process, and why they have it in. They say they don't hate men, but all these actions of what the movement is doing really suggest that they have something really against men.
Data against the patriarchy.
That damn patriarchy.
Yeah, well, stop oppressing us,
It's, and I really hate it, but yeah, for all this evidence that we have, that there was a poll that just came out last month or a couple months ago, a new poll of how many people identify as feminists. Now I keep collecting these polls year after year, but I'm noticing a trend. It was 72% identified as feminist in 2013. Well, just a couple months ago, it's now 82%.
Really?
Don't identify as feminist.
Oh, don't. I thought you said identified.
I probably
did,
but
excuse me?
I'm sorry. That was probably a mistake on my part. But yeah, don't identify as feminist. So there are more people, which shows the continued trend. If you look at Gallup, from 2005, it was even higher. It was like there was like a 70 or 75% didn't identify as feminist. So it was like a 25% did identify as feminist. And as you just see the trend line go on, it's falling. There are fewer and fewer people identifying as feminists, and people trying to save the movement by changing the definition because they want to point to the dictionary. They have a hard time reading a dictionary definition when they see what the movement is doing as a whole, So, and that's kind of like what this affirmative consent is. Yes means yes. It's really kind of a mess. But I actually have an interesting video here of a man taking advice from feminists to always ask. And here's a couple young ladies that had to say about that. Let's see. Yeah, we don't need that video. I hate it. Hold on here. Yeah. There we go. Okay. So, present and share. Yeah, by the time this is done, I'll be able to show everyone. Do this really fast. Okay.
Every girl I have ever kissed, I have asked first. I
hate that.
I know. They hate it. They hate it. I just
read the sign.
I'm dumb. I'm dumb.
If she's looking at your mouth when you're saying goodbye to her.
I didn't know.
Okay. So did you notice the reactions of the two ladies on there? So you ladies are not like an anomaly. This seems to be like pretty widespread. It's a very small minority trying to force their belief system onto everyone else, And so what does this guy do? He goes, oh, there's Bree Essrig, who is a pretty attractive girl. There's Lacey Green, who I find pretty attractive. Like, I would never date her for obvious reasons, but if I was shallow and I only cared about looks, she's a very attractive girl. But so you get these attractive ladies saying, "Oh, I like being asked to be kissed." Then you have someone like Will come along. "Oh, this is what I need to do." And what does he do? These two girls go, "Oh, I hate that." So, I mean, so why try and perpetuate something that I'm gonna assert, though I don't have evidence yet, but I've been from the number of ladies that I've interviewed, including yourselves now, that want to be asked to be kissed are actually zero, except for those two videos that I've shown you that women like it, and that's Bree Essrig and Lacey Green.
Well, you've got it all wrong.
You know?
Feminists are the spokesperson for all women. They understand how all of us work and how our thoughts work and how our feelings work, and I have no say in this. Let Anita Sarkeesian choose my feelings.
Well, that's exactly the way it is, Lauren. I mean, you have internalized misogyny, and that's why.
Mahogany, yeah.
It's like, that internalized misogyny is gonna get you every time, and we know Kassy has it double. He's like feminist.
Yeah, did you see that video? That's pretty bad.
It's
misogyny up the ass.
Yeah, it's horrible. I mean, like these women, have so much hate for themselves that they don't want to identify as something that's perpetuating hate. Weird. Okay. But yeah, it's one of those things that if it's not going the way you want it to go, be an adult and say no.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't need to have a movement to define it for you.
That should be our slogan. Go the way you want it.
Yeah, but later on in that same video, instead of sharing it, like they talk about what I talked about a little bit earlier. Is what I also hate is being asked if it's okay to be spanked. Well, there's a guy named Matt Lieberman on there that was saying, well, what I would do is I would check in after. Well, actually, I'm going to disagree with that viewpoint. Is if you're like in that type of relationship with somebody, you should probably be discussing all your fetishes and kinks before anything even begins to happen in that area, so you know what's okay for the future for when the hot and heavy comes. So instead of just actually saying, you're going to smack them on the butt and say, oh, was that... I mean, really? Is that... Do you agree, disagree? What would you say to that, Katie?
Yeah, pretty much. Because I've already gone into some detail about my bedroom habits. But yeah, like me and my partner, we went ahead, we talked in length about the stuff that we liked, stuff that we didn't like, and we went from there. Of course, it also benefits from the fact that our relationship started out long distance, so all we really could do was talk.
Yeah, so you took the route of make sure this is okay and things like that before that came around, so you knew what was okay and not, and that's important when it gets to the BDSM lifestyle. I would assume. I'm not really into that, but to everyone else, to each their own.
Yeah, and for us, it's not necessarily BDSM. It's not exactly that. But yeah, regardless, we wanted to know ahead of time, what we liked and what we didn't. That seems like that would be the normal, healthy relationship. But apparently, feminists don't want women to be in normal, healthy relationships.
I've done that.
Yeah. So yeah, what would you say about that, Kassy? Like, if you wanted to express something that was a little more kinky and a little extra, taboo or something like that, would you want to probably discuss it beforehand? Would you be more of just try it out and see where it goes? What would you suggest?
Well, the last guy and I did it. Like, we kind of did what the other girl was talking about, Katie there. We would do a lot of sexting. It was like the first guy I've ever did shit like that with. but he lived out of town, so we hardly ever got to see each other. But we liked it pretty rough, and we would text pretty much everything and anything we wanted to try with each other, anything we wanted the other one to do. And if something made us really uncomfortable, be like, I'm not too sure about that, and then we just kind of retract on that shit and find something else to do.
Okay, yeah, so that seems reasonable. You're like, yeah, because there's some things out there, like you look at some of the, like, online, and you see some of these names for certain moves in the bedroom. You're just like, wow, no. You're like, not but
Not happening.
yeah, what would you say, Lauren? What do you think about that?
I base all of my sexual knowledge off of Game of Thrones. I've never touched another human being. I don't even remember what we were talking about. I was.
Oh, well,
I'm sorry. I just heard you guys talking about BDSM.
Oh, no, we were talking about, so like sometimes you want to try a little extra kinky sometimes, and instead of actually going through with it like when you're already hot and heavy, and then asking consent, well, is this okay or is this okay, that could possibly kill the mood. Like with somebody that you might be intimate with, would you prefer maybe talking about it beforehand? Would you discuss it after? What would...
It probably depends on the relationship. Like, it depends on your trust levels, how long you've been with the person. But because, like, you're gonna know if you've been in a relationship with someone for years what you can and can't do, and that's gonna be based off of experiences you've already had, hookups you've already had, of what you've said your limits were during that or after that. Like, you build up a trust and a communication. That's the thing. It's so different for each situation that I find creating such strict legislations really that's what puts the fear factor in, or the danger factor in, for false accusations. As we can't judge what people's individual relationships and communication is like.
Right, and actually you kind of touched upon something that is like, maybe each person is a little different, where what you might do with one person, the trust level is there, you wouldn't do with another significant other.
Mm-hmm.
And it might not be anything against that person, it's just you don't feel comfortable doing X move or X sexual act with that specific person, because the trust level isn't there. So that's very interesting, and try and legislate a yes, or legislate how we're supposed to consent isn't necessarily a good thing. But so yeah, I can definitely agree with that. Definitely.
You know what else I find interesting too is this is more than just a personal issue as well. It is what has been held up on a pedestal in our culture, in movies and books and everything. You look at the top seller for women, 50 Shades of Grey, where the girl is tied up and everything. To be fair, they did sign a consent form now, but you look at the Jurassic World just came out, and Owen grabs Claire and kisses her without her consent. You look at Noah and what's the girl in The Notebook?
Oh, I haven't.
Come on, I believe in you guys.
I haven't seen The Notebook, so I don't know.
I don't watch movies.
None of you ladies have seen the movie The Notebook. Yeah, Rachel McAdams. What's her name?
I do watch chick flicks, but that's not one that's hit.
I don't remember her name in that movie.
Oh, you guys suck. Chat, help me here, or is it delayed? Okay.
It's delayed.
Anyways, when Noah kisses Rachel McAdams in the movie, it's totally unconsensual. He just grabs her face and kisses her, and all the girls, Allie, yes, Noah and Allie, all the girls start crying and bawling their eyes out. It's so beautiful. I want a relationship like that. And that's what people swoon over. People love that.
Because he didn't get consent.
Exactly. But she does the same thing to him in the movie. She jumps on him and sees his face. And you look at Megan Fox in Transformers, how sexual she is with the guy in it without his consent, pushing him down, crawling on him. Like, that is something that Hollywood idolizes, that kind of sexual behavior. The relationships of the past, of the girl wearing the turtleneck dress and the nice Christian conservative boy coming to the door and asking her father to go on a date and asking if he can kiss her on the cheek. There are still some girls who like that, but the majority are part of the hookup culture who just are not attracted to that anymore. And as a result, guys change their approach because girls do not go for those guys anymore. So guys now change the result to be their approach to be the bad boy that goes and is super confident with them, and girls swoon over that, so they try to act that way.
Right. What do you think the Game of Thrones and all those types of shows, 50 Shades of Grey, and even chick flicks, you know, like The Notebook, While You Were Sleeping. Like, is that really a woman's fantasy for type thing, to be just taken and kissed and stuff like that? You know, it's kind of a hidden, take a little bit of the consent away, but maybe surprise her with a kiss.
There isn't someone I'd like to surprise me with a kiss right now. A lot of girls have an interest in that.
Fun?
The surprise, like, I don't know, I'm a really nervous person, so I can never tell if anyone is interested in me at all. So I do generally depend on someone else to make the first move. That would be a lot easier for me.
So is that like more of a fantasy type thing where you would just like I don't know, I'm not a woman, to be, you know, of course it would have to be someone that you're attracted to and stuff like that. You'd have to kind of give your little hints, but if it was someone you were attracted to and they just grabbed you by the arm and kind of pulled you in and gave you a kiss or something like that, would that be something that you would find
so hot?
Okay. It would be hot. It would be really hot. What about you? Really hot. What about you, Katie?
Yeah, I mean, like, if it was some random stranger, of course not, but if it's someone that I liked and stuff, yeah, I'd totally be in for that.
Yeah. It's like, what about you, Lauren?
Yeah, no, if it was someone that you liked, that's the other thing that makes this confusing, is that can be extremely attractive, as the ladies here have expressed. But if a guy misreads the signals and does that, his life is ruined if he's kissed a girl that's going to take him to a kangaroo court and ruin him. Like, people misread signals sometimes. People misread the moment. They think that it's one of those super romantic, confident moments where it's just going to work out, and sometimes it isn't. Sometimes it is. And it's because of that. That's the risk people take when they do stuff like that, when they grab a girl or a guy and kiss them out of nowhere. And those people who make that mistake and are super apologetic about it after and meant no harm, they're in danger of being having sexual assault status, having someone who is a sex offender status.
Yeah, that's understandable. Like, let's say, for example, let's say someone a little less okay came along, someone that was a little less attractive, someone like grabbed you in and was going in for the kiss, what would you do in that situation? Would you actually kind of pull away and say, it's like, oh, well, or would you just kind of swallow it and just not let it go further than a kiss? What would you do?
I've had a guy do that to me before, and I just turned my head away and I was like, sorry, no thanks. And the majority of the time they're like, oh, I'm sorry, okay, that's fine. Sometimes guys will be a little more pushy and you're like, no thanks. No thanks, but most of the time they're apologetic. Most of the time.
Okay, so you've had that experience, and you just like, and you've already planned it in your head what you do. Instead of taking the feminist position and trying to teach guys not to do that, you would just prefer to be the big girl and say, that's okay.
Guys and girls have both been slowly, girls a little later than guys, but guys have been taught, be more confident, be assertive, be all these things for women, and slowly women are catching up to that and starting to be taught to be confident as well. But when you take that initiative, I've had girlfriends of mine have the same thing happen to them, where they've gone to kiss a guy and he's denied her, and they've been devastated. So it's like, I'm not about to devastate them anymore by going around and telling a bunch of people that they're someone who assaulted me when they're not, and they made a mistake.
Yeah, so you're more like, you know, no
harm done. Yeah.
He done the further, then that would have been a different story. Then you might have gotten a little more strong, but okay.
Absolutely. And if they went further, that would have been wrong. If someone says no and they keep going, that's wrong, obviously.
Right. Have you ever had to deal with something like that? I was like, I know you get catcalled everywhere you go, but what do you think?
Are we asking
Sorry.
me now?
Or are you still
Kassy?
asking me? Yeah.
I'm having some breakup. Say that again?
Well, Katie or Kassy, I don't know if
Hello?
Cassie's on right now.
Okay, I can hear you guys
Can
now.
you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, what would you do in that situation if a guy, maybe you weren't attracted to the guy, and the guy might have misread the signal, or somebody misread the signal and pulled you in for a kiss? What would you do in that situation?
I'd tell him no, and if he let go, then no harm, no foul. If he kept trying to, then I'd smack him in the face, which I've done before.
It's like
But
violence,
that's only
violence.
if he doesn't listen. If I tell a person, guy or girl, if I tell them no, I don't want to, and they still do, then yeah, I'm gonna get violent to get them to get away from me. But if it was an innocent mistake, they thought I was into it, and then they realized I'm not, they back off, because most guys will. They want a girl who's going to be like, yeah, I want this. So if they realize you don't, most of them are going to back off.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, yeah. And Cassie, are you there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah. It's like, and what would you do in that situation if somebody was not very attractive? They misread your signs and stuff like that, and tried to pull you in for a kiss. How would you reject them, or slowly let them down, or would you like stiff arm? Would you swallow the kiss and let them kiss you, but then you'd stop, or what would you do?
I want to say that I would nicely turn them down, but knowing me, I would just get wide-eyed and really quiet and just stare.
Oh, okay. So you'd probably I know that face already.
And it's like, oh shit, this is happening.
It's like if it were me, I would see that face and I'd be like, sorry, and I would know immediately that meant you were not okay with that. Okay. Yep. Okay. But yeah. So basically, from what we've gathered with this kind of discussion, is it wasn't going to be a long one. I just wanted to get your guys' opinion and really kind of hammer this yes means yes law down. So basically, think of it as more of treating women like, and I don't want to put words in your mouth. So if I miss the mark, let me know. But you guys believe that more of the yes means yes kind of treats women like children, so that they can't consent unless if they have a movement helping you do so. Is that
the movement to consent
that
for
about
them,
right?
or the movement to take consent for them?
Yeah, or yeah. So, but yeah, this was a really great discussion. I think that was very helpful, and I wish it could be longer, but I only planned out this kind of like a small segment of the yes means yes things. But that was a pleasure, and thank you, ladies, for accepting this conversation. And I think we learned a little bit more, and I will probably
Hello? Sorry.
highlights and put together some highlights of yes, and interview more ladies on the street around where I live as well. But I do think
Be careful with that. They're going to accuse you of raping them with your eyes.
yeah, the male gaze.
Or they'll
the
withdraw
male gaze.
consent.
Withdrawal consent, like Lauren knows all about withdrawal
Yes, I do.
consent.
It's really hard being a video rapist, you know.
Like especially after the deed was done, and then you want to withdraw consent after the fact. It's like she wanted to. What did she want to do? She wanted to equate sex with getting an interview.
Yeah.
And the interview was already done. Had it been the interview and saying I don't want to do this anymore, that would be more similar to what the situation would have been. But it wasn't even like that. But yeah, interesting. But again, thank you, ladies, very much for discussing this with me, and and hopefully the chat didn't get too rowdy for you ladies of trying to get too personal of information with you.
Oh, that's
You know.
nice, Turk, man.
Yeah, because there was a few questions when I announced this. There was a few new questions that I announced that people were asking. It's like, is it right if you ask this? It's like, well, it'll kind of be answered, but I'm not gonna ask, too personal of questions, But unless
I think we got pretty personal, anyways. At least you guys talking about your BDSM experiences.
Well, that's one thing,
Jumped
but
right into that.
we didn't kind of go into the like, well, how do you give blowjobs and what do you do that it's it's nothing like that. And it's again, thanks so much for your time, and we'll go ahead and go off air. And if you guys have any closing points that you wanted to make,
1 second. Yeah, let me shill.
Yeah.
I wrote an article on this topic for Spiked, and I basically said everything I say in this in this video. But you can go check it out. Just Google "affirmative consent: the ultimate romance killer" and Spiked online, and you should find it. And
I'll also post that article in the description after it's closed as well. But yeah, so that's a great thing.
Put my DeviantArt in the description.
Yep, in the little chats on the side, go ahead and put your link there, and I'll just pull those links from the sidebar. But go ahead and announce it, so if people want to check you out, they can as well.
Yeah, it's my username is Garren. That's GARRENN. DeviantArt.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And do you have any closing remarks or anything like that with Kassy?
No, not really. Just thanks for having me by.
Well, thanks. I feel so privileged that my white privilege and all that you fine ladies were able to hang out with me and discuss.
It's a privilege. We have to. We have no choice.
Yeah, she's like, yeah. I've known you since you were a wee 20 subscriber, YouTuber. So you owe me something, right? It's owed.
I've followed you before all of those people.
Yep. All right. Well, thanks everyone. We'll go ahead and go off air there. See ya.
Bye.